excuse me, and fellow riders. Warm welcome to Horse Talk. And this horse talk is going to be a little bit different than the regular horse talks, where I decide kind of a topic and I talk about that. Because this horse talk is based on questions from the live masterclass last Wednesday. And it might be a bit long because I have about 2 pages of questions. And the reason I'm doing this is because I've gotten actually several emails asking why I did not answer their question during the live masterclass. And the reason for that is that it obviously takes just too much time to answer all the questions. So I answered about 4 or 5, and now I found the other ones. And these are good questions, like when can you start training a horse at liberty? How to avoid separation anxiety, and how to stop a bolting horse, stuff like that we all wonder about from time to time. So my name is Katrine and I am a horse trainer from Norway, and now I'm gonna dig into these questions, and I have them here. So Laura is wondering about what are the main differences in liberty versus clicker training. And that's a great question. But it's not necessarily a difference between liberty and clicker training, because very often clicker training is done at liberty. So I have another horse talk where I talk about the 3 different ways of doing liberty training, and clicker training is obviously one of them. And another path to liberty is to basically be so good at controlling the horse and riding horses and training horses that your horse becomes super obedient, so you don't need the reins or ropes or stuff like that for control, but you can use very small signals, which requires lots of practice and lots of training. And then a third path to liberty, which is what I'm teaching, is liberty through communication and choices. Because when the horse wants to do the same as we want to do, it becomes very easy to ride them at liberty. So a big part of the program is about giving choices and communicating with the horse through body language. But since you obviously were on the masterclass, you also learned how we give these choices in a strategic way so that the horse chooses the same as we want to do. And at least in my experience, something the horse has learned from own experience and from choice is a knowledge that is much deeper in the horse than just behavior the horse has been rewarded for doing. But I'm not necessarily against clicker training. I'm not against treats. I think they are very motivating and can be perfect for motivating a shutdown horse, for instance. But I'm not relying on treats as my training method. I don't want to depend on them. And when it comes to clicker training, then that's a way of doing liberty that is different from how I'm teaching it. But when that's said, in Ride Like a Viking members, one of the certified trainers, Frauke Musial, she is also a professor in psychology. And she recently found a study on horses and how they actually respond more to our body language than to treats. So I think no matter if you use clicker training or treats or not, it's very important to be aware of our body language and what we are communicating to the horse. Yes, so I hope this helps, Laura. And if you had a follow-up question there, if it was possible to combine this. Yes, it is possible to combine the Ride Like a Viking method with clicker training. But I would probably keep those sessions separate, so you're not doing them kind of simultaneously. Have a clear strategy for telling your horse when you're doing clicker training and when you are doing choice-based training. Yes. Okay, so the next question is from Helen. Yes. And she wonders about riding Icelandic horses in tilt or pace, and that is mainly done with contact in the reins. And how can we do this without the rein contact? And basically, I don't have like tilt trainings and gated training videos in Ride Like a Viking members, but I have very many members who ride tilt and gates. And what they have discovered is that once we have, done the groundwork and installed the riding signals properly, so that the horse becomes soft off the rein aid when we pick up on the rein and engages the hind legs when we use our leg aid, they become very easy to ride in tilt, also on a loose rein. We even had a Connemara horse in the program who started tilting. And I don't have any how to tilt videos. Because what I often found is these how to tilt videos very often tell you to pick up on the rein, sit back and get the horse a bit up in the neck and then ride forwards. And this, of course, works very well to get the horse tilting. Most horses will start tilting when you do this. But it doesn't work very well to get a tilt where the horse is engaged with the hind legs and is lifting the back. It very often becomes a little bit of a hollow back, stiff neck tilt. But it's very easy to do it that way. So I would recommend to you, Helen, to do the program, and once your horse responds correctly to the riding signals and is easy to ride on a loose rein and wants to do the same as you are doing, then you can use those riding signals who are working and the connection and relationship you have built with the horse to ask for tilt. And you are going to see that that's also easy, and it will also help your horse tilt in a posture and body position that is good for the horse and builds back muscle and, is a more favorable way of tilting. Yes, so I hope this helps. And Marta asks, I feel like I have a connection with my rescue, but he's still spooking and lacks forward and pulls on me a lot. Yes, Marta, this can often be a little bit of a misconception. So we might confuse the horse always wanting to be close to us and always focusing on us and, to be the same as connection. But at least what I have found, a big part of connecting with horses is to actually connect with them on a distance. Because if we are always in the horse's space, it tends to become a lot of knuffling going on. And that can teach the horse to push on us and pull on us because we are kind of in their space trying to give signals physically on the horse's body. But once we get a distance to the horse, we can start communicating through body language. And once that connection is good on a distance, we bring that relationship with us into the horse's space as well. So I would recommend you lead your horse in the way that I talked about in the masterclass and see if that helps in terms of your horse becoming less pushy and always in your space. And it's obviously not about keeping our horses at the 4 meters distance all the time, but it's about starting there. Yes, and I think you are immediately, after just one session, you are going to experience a totally different horse. Yes, because there's much more we can do when communicating with a horse at the distance than when close in their space. If you are using your body language close to the horse is not going to see you. Yep, and there's another thing also that I think is a common mistake that I actually did today outside with my horses. but I noticed it, is that often if we want more distance to a horse, we step backwards. And I wanted to take pictures of Curly and video of Curly, and he was always close in my space. So I then backed away from him to get him further away from the camera, which obviously drawed him towards me. Because when I step backwards, that means come closer. So I was like, aha, this obviously did not work. So this is something we can very easily do without even thinking of it. So when we want more space, we actually step backwards and draw the horse towards us. Yes, so be mindful of that as well. Okay, next question. And let me know in the comments below if you also find these questions from Marta, Helen, and Laura helpful. Because now Liv has a question. She says she wants a stronger bond and feels safer while hacking. But she sometimes feels a bit nervous when hacking, which is totally understandable. You know, we all become a bit nervous when riding horses because things can go wrong. And very often experience has told us that we can fall off and hurt ourselves and horses can spook and whatnot. And at least for my sake, when I start thinking in those directions, my mind gallops very fast towards everything that can go wrong. But what I've learned over the years that is very helpful is to tell ourselves, what if it goes well? Because then we are not going against our fear, but we are going kind of with it and suggesting that we think about something else. And when we do that, we start imagining things that can go wrong, that can go right, instead of imagining things that can go wrong, which relaxes us. Because it starts with what we are thinking, actually, and what we are saying affects what we are feeling, which then is starting to affect our breath and also our body. Which obviously the horse, we are sitting on their back, they are going to feel our tension too. And if this does not work, you're not able to redirect your mind and think like, what if it goes well, and see everything that can go well. You can also, physically change your breath by doing nostril breathing. Something we can do, and what I like to do is to actually yawn. So if I feel tension building up, like when going live on Facebook, for instance, if I yawn, I directly get my breath back into my stomach, and it kind of releases, it puts me from the sympathetic nervous system state to the parasympathetic nervous system state. Yes, so I hope this helps. There are other stuff you can do as well, but this actually works on horses too. So a big part of the program is to hang out with our horses until they show these kind of letdowns, which also resets their nervous system from, fight and flight to relaxation and calmness. Yeah, and very often horses do this as well. They yawn or lick and chew or, physically lower their neck to find more relaxation. And then they also start breathing deeper. Yes. So I hope this helps and that this is something you can do on your next trail ride. Okay, Paul has a question here. Is connection the same as mutual trust? Yes, I would say trust is a big part of connection. And I think there is where many of us fail to connect with our horses from the start, because if we don't trust the horse, how can we expect the horse to trust us? But it's more to this than that. Because in my mind, connection is also about communication. We feel more connected with someone we can communicate with. And once we have learned to communicate with horses through body language, we then have a language that we can speak together with our horse. And especially if we also learn how to read the horse's body language right, they start communicating with us, because horses, they communicate mainly through their body posture and their body language. They don't communicate so much with sounds. And I think the third part is definitely that, like Brené Brown says, control is the opposite of connection. So if we are controlling the horse a lot, like putting them in cross ties, which also makes them silent, because a horse can't communicate with his body language when standing in these cross ties. And if we are always controlling the horse and deciding where to go without taking the time to make our ID the horse's ID, then that's a definite connection killer. So yes, I agree, trust, communication, and what I would say, choices is a foundation for connection, because we can't truly get a yes without the horse having the possibility to say no. And like I explained in the masterclass, the Tom Doran saying, first you go with the horse, then the horse goes with you, and then we go together. That's basically how we make our ID the horse's ID, not by mounting them and telling them where to go. And that's also how we get rid of these magnets who affect their straightness. Wherever we are riding on the circle or trying to ride a straight line, if a horse is wanting to be somewhere else, that's going to manifest in their shoulder popping out, or maybe shying off in one corner, or always wanting to go somewhere else. It affects everything. And once we are able to make our ID our horse's ID, horse riding becomes so much easier, because then the horse is doing from self. And that's when I take the reins off and ride without them. Yes, so it's not after months of obedience training or clicker training. Yes, it can take like just a few weeks. Yes, and obviously it can also take longer. Which actually brings me to, I saw someone here who had a question about a shut down horse. So those are maybe the horses that might take longer to get these results with. At least in my experience, the nervous, outgoing ones show very often faster results than the more introverted and shut down horses. But the introverted and shut down horses, they show fast results once we have gotten forward. But the question was definitely about, how to get forward with a shut down horse. And from what I can see, this horse, you've had him for about 2 years, and you don't want to use any pressure or anything to, get him going. And I think another part of this shutdownness, which often happens with horses, is that we give up on our asks. So at least our children's horse, who was partly shut down from all the kids riding him and giving him mixed signals and not following through, he started ignoring the leg aid and the rein aid, and before we knew it, he was only piggy pacing and eating grass. And to get him less shut down, it was, of course, important for me to not give up my ask. So if I asked for forward, I made sure forward happened, right? Or else I would just teach him that my forward signals, they also don't mean anything, and he can just, zoom out and ignore them. But on the other hand, it was also very important to motivate him and to find joy of movement. And that's where I think with these shutdown horses, we need to be very creative and just try out different things that might work. Like for instance, with Glanny, before we trained him to not be so home and herd bound, he was very attracted and addicted to the other horses and the stable. So what we then could do was to, walk him away and then ride him back home, because he would want to go faster when riding homewards. And in this way, we could ask for forwards in a situation where it was very likely for him to actually move faster, if you know what I mean. And you can also use treats, like make a target or something that you motivate the horse to run towards by giving food. Or yeah, Raven is here, or like Raven did with her horse, she rescued a very shut down Percheron. Yes. And he really blossomed when she started playing football with him. So that's when he, found the joy of, moving forwards and moving faster and moving. And from there, we can then start training them. Yes, so I hope this helps. And Heidi has a question here about the difference between the cold shoulder and the soft shoulder. Yes, because a big part of the connection exercise is to get the horse from being like this, being on the lookout when with us, to relax and look at us while we are on the lookout. And once we notice this quite subtle but also very common body language horses tend to have when together with humans, you will just see it everywhere. It's very often a horse standing, looking at the environment, and then you have a person beside the horse holding a rein or something, or holding the horse in some kind of way with their hands either on a rein or a lead rope or somewhere close to the horse. So this is not necessarily something we notice until we notice it, and then we can't unnotice it. But once we get the horse to on a little bit of a distance, like we do in the connection exercise, we can then facilitate that the horse looks at us and starts relaxing. And that's when we become the one taking the guard. And that's also when horses then start paying attention to our body language. So they start walking when we walk, and they stop when we stop. And they can even go backwards when we go backwards, without us, putting signals on their bodies. It's just from moving together, because the horse feels safe since we are able to watch and notice the environment. Yes. But do the connection exercise, and you will see the difference between a cold shoulder and a warm shoulder. Yeah, Raven says it changed so much. Yes, it does. So problems, they seem to solve themselves, or they have solved themselves just by doing connection exercise. Horses who have been difficult with picking up their feet, who have been anxious, separation anxiety, also horses who have been shut down and ignoring signals, it just solves through this way of interacting with them, actually. Yes, but now my kids are home from school. So I think this was about the amount of questions I was able to do. I might come back again and do another horse talk with the other questions. But I remember that there was one question that came up a lot, and that was, where can you buy a silver tip rope halter with a 12-feet lead? Because a big part of connecting with horses is having a longer lead rope. And the lead ropes that you buy in most horse tack shops, they are basically too short to be able to connect with the horse. So that's why I am giving away a silver tip rope halter with a 12-feet lead to the lucky participants on the live masterclass. So if you want to win one of these, you basically join the live masterclass, which is tonight, and you can secure your spot on ridelikeaviking.no/masterclass, or by commenting yes below, and you will get invitation, and you can win one of them. Or you can do what I do, I buy them on Amazon. Yes, you just Google silver tip rope halter with the 12-feet lead, and they will ship it to you in the mail, which is very convenient. And to be honest, the training method, it's not about the halter. It's not about halter and pressure points and all that stuff. It's mainly about the lead rope. So you can do the connection exercise with a regular halter as long as you have a long enough lead rope. But these lead ropes, they have an amazing feel to them. It's like, I don't know why people spend so little money on lead ropes, but this lead rope is a bit more expensive, but you can feel almost like the horse's emotions through the lead rope. It has a great feel to it, and just the right weight. Yes. So I definitely recommend that. Buy yourself a Weaver lead rope and start connecting with your horse. And I obviously also hope to see you tonight on the last live masterclass, which is 9 p.m. Central European time. And once you have signed up, you will find out which time it is in your time zone. And thank you so much for joining here. Okay, bye for now.